Hello, and welcome to the I'm Just Saying podcast. I am Andrea Clinton, your host. I have been MIA. And why have I been MIA? I have been writing grants relentlessly. Some I've made a mistake because I was too anxious. Some they worked with me, so we'll see what happens. And some just a lot of research. And then other jobs popping up. Looks like it's so weird when you go for a specific thing, it doesn't come or happen, but when you're on something else, the other opportunities pop up. And so I try to have different streams of income, and it looks like now people are interested in me for the writing, not just the coaching, because that's what I do more often is the coaching, but people are interested in me as either the ghostwriter or the partnering in writing, or just giving me the credit and paying me, and directing, which is weird because my son had said a couple of months ago that I should push more towards directing, be it theater or film. And my partner always gives me these great compliments on my directing, so I've been thinking about it. But yeah, those opportunities have recently popped up, and I'm like, okay, let's see, let's just do it. What's the worst case scenario? I do it, and that's the only job that I get for a while, or I do it and get a reputation, and people start hiring me to direct their plays or films, etc. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I didn't even come on for that, but I just felt like I would share. So I do I start from the beginning or do I make another video based on the beginning? I don't know. I didn't come on to begin talking about the very beginning of my journey to be healthy, or weight loss. I came on to just talk about where I am right now, because it seems like I can't get to where I want to go unless I tell you where I've been, at least a little. I was so overweight, I didn't even realize it. I was over 300 pounds. I was actually over 350, and my body was starting to act really weird. And so I kept saying I was going to lose weight, I was going to do more, and I might exercise. Every morning I have to do leg lifts just because I had a bad car accident, but I think my body got used to that. And so doing the leg lifts was just not really as helpful as it used to be. I was dealing with that, but I wasn't actually exercising. I'm a writer. I'm a writer first and foremost. It's bad enough that I write books and I write screenplays and I write plays, and sometimes just, commentary. Not to mention, I'm all over different social medias writing different posts. So I'm a content creator. So I'm always sitting. Nothing ever requires me to stand and walk and be physical, except my fingers, which should be really built like muscle men, because that's all I do is just type. And so because I wasn't being so physical, I was actually starting to gain weight. And then when COVID hit, I gained even more weight. Like I said, I got almost 400 pounds. I think I was like 360 at my highest. I might have been 365, but I know I was at 360 for a long time. And I tell you, the first thing everyone should do is get a mirror, get a couple of mirrors and place them in your house, because when you see yourself, it will be inspiration for you to do better, even if it starts out with you just thinking, I don't care who you are, just seeing yourself. We don't see ourselves a lot of times until we leave the house and then we pass by a mirror. But we need to put mirrors in the house and scales just so we could see, and catch ourselves if we're throwing on extra pounds. But in any case, so I started having chest pains, and I remember I was in the living room. And I told my son, and he just turned and looked at me, because I think everyone saw the weight that I had put on and how big I had gotten. And I feel like they didn't say anything, but they say, no, we would say something. But I'm like, I looked at a picture one day and I was like, how in the world did y'all live with me, say you love me, and don't say anything? Like, mommy, I think you should lose weight. Or come on, mommy, let's go for a walk. And not just my kids, even my friends and family. Like, how do you not say anything? I'm not talking about criticizing, because everybody's good with that. But anyway, so I knew he had known that I was overweight, and I knew that he was concerned. I think I didn't realize it until the way he turned and looked at me. And so then I guess I got quiet. He sat around and I noticed him pacing, and he didn't go into another room or anything. And then I guess after I stopped talking and I was watching TV, he probably felt, okay, the coast is clear. And he started going up the stairs. And then all of a sudden, I had a striking pain in my chest. And I just looked at him and I said, drive me to the hospital. And long story short, that whole process, the EKG didn't show like a heart attack, but it did show some activity that was a little off. And so I knew right then and there, if you do not lose this weight, you're going to die. And at that point, I had gained like an extra 25 pounds. And so, which got me to the 260. I mean, not to the 360. So if I said 260 before, erase that. I really meant 360. Yeah, because I did say it almost got me to 400 pounds. Okay, so, but anyway, I said to myself, you're going to die. You're going to freaking die. And so I had been putting off the idea and the thought of the weight loss surgery because I said, I want to lose it on my own. I used to be, before I had my son, I used to teach aerobics. I was an aerobics instructor. And my ex-husband and my mother can vouch for that. And that was my job. And I knew how to tell people, what to, do to lose the weight, the exercises, like from the purposely, the people who were extra, extra heavy. I knew how to tell them so that it wouldn't seem like much of a job, on up to, those who were like, no, come on, I got to drop this 10, 15 pounds. And so I started doing some things, and I did lose 15 pounds before I had the surgery, but I had made up my mind, no, it's too late. If you were going to work out to lose the weight, you should have done it. At this point, you got to hurry up because you're going to have a heart attack. And I remember my ex-husband telling me about someone he knew who had a heart attack when they were working out, or do I know that as well? But then I think the story I'm thinking about was that this man's wife had a heart attack when she was working out to lose weight. And so, stories like that kind of stick with me. And so all I kept thinking about was do it, but do it smart. And so the first thing I did was this is when everybody wasn't crazy on social media. And I saw a video where a woman said, put flaxseed on everything that you eat and you'll lose up to 30% of the fat that you eat that day. Because the flaxseed will help you to go to the bathroom. And so I began putting flaxseed on everything I ate. I wouldn't care. When I started, I didn't stop eating the things I love. Like I still had the ice cream. I would open up my Oreos cookies and I would just take the top off and just eat the cream with the other cookie, and I would dip it into the flaxseed. And that's how I would eat it. And by the way, when I stopped whole milk, and I was drinking 1% whole milk, when I dropped when I dropped cow's milk, I lost 20 pounds. I lost 10 pounds when I went from whole milk to 2%. I lost another couple of pounds when I went from 2% to 1%. But when I went from 1% milk, which was organic at the time, and then lactate, but when I totally left whole milk alone, even at just the 1%, I had lost 20 pounds. So take it for whatever you want to take it for. And just to jump way ahead, this summer, for whatever reason, this is 2024, for some reason in July, I had a taste for, I was going in thinking I was going to have peaches and cherries, but for whatever reason, I had a taste for ice cream sandwich. And so I figured I would get one. And why did I ever do that? I got to a point I was having 2 or a couple of ice cream sandwiches a day. I didn't care about food. I didn't care about fruits and vegetables. I had been doing well for over a year, and that's how I lost even more pounds. But for some reason, I just wanted it. And so, yeah. But anyway, going back. I said that to say, and I gained 10 pounds. So regarding the milk, the cow's milk, there's something about it that throws the weight on. And I don't know if it's the steroids. I was not, this time I watched myself, I was not eating extra. The only thing extra I was eating was more ice cream sandwiches, almost like they put crack or something in it that makes you want more of it. But I was not eating horribly bad foods that I wasn't supposed to. I was just constantly wanting the ice cream sandwiches. And when I tried, like, oh, let me get the non-dairy ice cream from Ben and Jerry's or whatever, it still was just something about it that was like, yeah, but it's not the ice cream sandwich. And so I thought, okay, just get it. You'll get over it and then you'll stop. I even got to a point, I bought the light ice cream sandwiches, and I was stubborn when I did that because I remember my daughter telling me when you slow up on sugar, you stop wanting, it so much, right? So I was stubborn with that, and I got to the point, I still wanted the ice cream sandwiches, but the amount of sugar that I wanted had changed because at first the light ice cream sandwiches were disgusting because it was like, oh, I want the original taste. But I had bought 2 boxes and 3 boxes actually. And I didn't want to waste the money. So I kept eating them. And then my taste buds actually grew to that amount of sugar. And so it stopped tasting nasty. And I started really feeling like I was fulfilling my taste for ice cream sandwiches. But again, I gained probably 12 pounds over the summer. I'm saying 10 because it makes me feel better, but I'm almost positive that it was 12 pounds that I gained. I'm actually positive. I don't know. I'm in denial. I have a mental thing going on. But yeah, it was definitely 12 pounds that I gained. And again, the only thing that I did differently from my menu was I added ice cream sandwiches. I still was eating the whole foods. I was still eating root vegetables. I was still somewhat doing the alkaline diet as far as, making sure that I squeezed lime in my water. And I was making sure I was eating my fermented foods, although I did slow up because when you do eat those ice cream sandwiches or those sweets, you don't necessarily want to eat the good foods. They hit the spot and then you're just sitting back like you're good, even though you're not. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that about the milk. Something in the milk made me gain 20 pounds in the past and 12 pounds this summer. So if you're drinking whole milk, you may want to step back from it because something about it is just not right. When I say not whole milk, cow's milk. If you're drinking cow's milk, something about it is not right. Blend your oats, strain it in a strainer or in the cheesecloth and drink that, or do the same with the almonds. Blend them, strain them, and then drink that. Add as much water as you want. But whatever you want to do, I would stay away from cow's milk unless you just really have to. But, we'll talk more about these different nut milks and the oils they're putting into it later. But let me bring it all the way back. I just had to say that about the cow's milk because to me, that's a lot of weight to gain from cow's milk. And I really believe it's the steroids that they feed the cow, and that it's the I don't know if the antibiotics will make you gain the weight, but I know the steroids that they give the cow to make them bigger, it will be in their system, and then you go and eat it or drink, their milk, which comes from their system. And I know for a fact it does something. It's not my first rodeo with the whole cow's milk. As a matter of fact, I said it happened to me in the past. It actually happened to me on 3 different occasions where I stopped drinking cow's milk and then lost like 20 pounds. And it's literally 20 pounds. The ice cream sandwiches this summer was 12, but when I was dealing with the milk itself, 20 pounds. All right, so let's take a beat. So my son was going up the steps, and I said, take me to the hospital. And he hurried up doing the sneakers. I grabbed my sweater and everything. It was the middle of the day, so we were already like up and about. And so I went to the hospital. And like I said, they found that the heart was showing something, but not necessarily a heart attack, just agitated. And like I said, that's when I said to myself, it's over. It's a wrap. You're going to have to get the surgery because it's going to take you time even my doctor said it's going to take you time to lose weight. And although it's a good idea to do it on your own, what happens if your heart is on a certain path now and you have a heart attack? And I wanted to go against him and say, screw that and just do it myself. A part of me kind of sort of wish that I did, but that striking pain was serious. It felt like somebody sliced me in my chest from under the left side of my rib cage going up to almost the middle of my chest, under the breast area, on a diagonal slant. I remember it like it was yesterday. Even now, if I get gas pains, it reminds me of that, and I have to stop and think like, oh my God, is this the same thing, or is this, something different? Because I imagine that the heart attack would feel like that only because I had that pain. So in any case, I said, you know what, it's time. So I went and set up to meet with this doctor I think I had already, yes, the year before I had already done my research. I had already considered having the bariatric surgery, but I was nervous and had the sleeve. I was afraid of the other one because at least the sleeve, they were taking part of the stomach versus the bypass where they were mixed crossing and all that kind of stuff with your organs. And that just scared me, especially with me having lupus, And so I had already done the research for it and had already thought of a couple of doctors. So I narrowed it down, went and talked to him. He seemed very confident. I loved his demeanor, office, etc. And so I made up my mind to have it done. I did put it off another couple of months, which I later regretted because my insurance made me wait. So it was like, wow, should have just followed through. But anyway, I got it done. Afterwards, I think the day after you're in pain, that was the most pain. But, you tell them you're in pain, they give you something for it. You come home. I think it was the stitches or the tape over the stitches were aggy, but I wasn't in pain because, of course, you take pain pills. And so within about 2 days after that, I didn't even need anything more than Tylenol every now and again. So in other words, what I'm saying is it wasn't a horrible experience as far as pain after. But then, I lost 82 pounds from the sleeve, but I started getting really bad acid indigestion. And saw the doctor, then saw one of the celebrities had died from stomach cancer, and found out that if you have a lot of acid indigestion for too long, you can begin to get Barrett syndrome, and Barrett syndrome is the precursor to stomach cancer. And because I had acid indigestion for so many decades, I was terrified. So I said, I have escaped that, and I had a endoscopy that showed that I had a polyp on my stomach. And, cancer often grows through polyps. I think it's adenoma, whatever. And so that type of cancer. So I was just like, no. So I said, okay. After I had the sleeve and I lost the 80 something pounds, I did begin to gain some of the weight back, and I did have the acid reflux. Now, again, I put it off because who races to surgery? But I did say to myself, like, okay, at some point, okay, the benefit will be that if you go back and get the repass, or I forgot what they call it, but why did I say repass? Bypass. I don't know why. I cannot think of the term that we use for it, people who've had the surgery, but basically the medical term that they use, or insurance term, is you have regain. So I did have regain because during COVID, I had gained of the 80 that I lost, I had gained 40 back with COVID. I had gained a few back before COVID, maybe like 10, 12 pounds, because I had to get this, cortisone shot in my shoulders. And I remember gaining about 12 to 15 pounds with that. But I believe, again, 12. I don't know what it is about that number. But I remember being angry because I was like, wow, I wish I would have, gotten on the scale sooner, because I could have, done something to, stop eating or whatever, once I had the shot. But I don't know if it increases your appetite or just makes you blow up. All I know is you gain weight from the shots, and they swear they don't, cause you to eat more. They don't cause weight gain, but yeah, everyone who takes steroids end up gaining weight. In any case, not to confuse you, so let's just double back a little bit. I had the sleeve. I lost 82 pounds with the sleeve. I went on to, just still be small or whatever. Something in my spirit said, do not throw out your clothes. And so I didn't. And before I knew it, I had gained back 12 pounds. And then I had gained back 40 something during COVID, which came a couple of years later. Because I actually thought that I had started gaining back a lot more of the weight prior to COVID. But then when I went to a couple of my doctors and they looked in their chart, I didn't even ask it. We just happened to be talking about my health. After COVID, you're catching up and everything and going over everything. And they each were telling me how much smaller I was prior to COVID. So I was like, wow, so the weight really did come from COVID. I knew some of it, but I was trying to blame all of it, not really believing it. And come to find out, 40 something pounds I had gained during COVID. And so, what was it, last year, that's when I had, well, actually before last year, I had wanted to have the surgery, but I had other situations, which I'll talk about at another time. And so that kind of halted me from having the surgery. And so the way the insurance works, I ended up having the surgery last year. And from then I lost the 80 something pounds. So now that we have finally gotten to this point where we can talk about where I am today, let's go in. So from the surgery last year, I had lost, actually prior to it, I had lost 25 pounds. Mainly just eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and meat only 2 days a week. And then, of course, after the surgery, you start off with liquids, then you go to soft foods, and then, you can gradually start to add meats. And so I went through the trenches and, finally got to the point where I had lost 40 something pounds. And they told me because I had the sleeve surgery first, I probably would only have roughly about 40 something pounds. Many doctors had told me that they hadn't seen anyone who had the second surgery lose more than 40 something pounds. And so I knew that I was doing it mainly because I was afraid to get stomach cancer. And I had already had, like I said, the acid reflux, and then I had already had the polyp in the stomach. And so I was trying to avoid Barrett's because once you get Barrett's, they say cancer is coming. It's right behind it. So I had the surgery. And here we are a year and some change later, maybe like a year and a half. And I have lost 85 pounds and recently gained 10 back. And I'm not worried, but I need those 10 pounds off again. And so what I'm noticing, and I had been saying I was going to do a health podcast. Wasn't sure exactly if I was going to do a health channel on YouTube or if I was going to just maybe make a playlist and just talk about health. But I definitely want to do a health podcast because I want to share my experience. And I'm not in the best place. Don't think for a second I'm saying, oh yeah, I lost 82 pounds and I've lost all the weight that I need to lose and I'm looking good. No, I'm nowhere near there. For my comfortability, I need to lose 50. Someone else will probably say, oh, maybe 30, 40, but I'm tall. So the way that my weight does on my body is totally different than other people. I have a friend who I'm a quarter away from 6 feet. I'm 5'11" and 3/4. And I have a friend who is like 5'6". My weight on her, she would probably have high blood pressure, sugar diabetes and everything because she's much shorter. And from what I've learned talking to doctors over the years, having that extra weight on you and being shorter, it's a lot, around the heart. Me being taller is just distributed different. So even though it's some weight on the heart, it's not as much as if I was shorter. And it makes sense to me, so I buy into it. So where I am today is I'm noticing there's certain things that have to go, certain things that have to be included. If you live in the United States, you will find this very beneficial. This podcast episode regarding health and the direction and way to go. I am not saying that this is going to be a cookie cutter way to eat and what not to eat, etc. But it will shed some light, and maybe you can start off listening and following some things, and maybe you can just take some things from what I have to bring to the table. But what I want to share It's information about first health in general, because again, this channel is going to be about health. All those things we need to know about, what to eat, what not to eat. We'll even go into what pots you should be cooking and what you shouldn't, which I'll have to go back and rewatch myself, because it's a lot on this health journey, things that we should and shouldn't be doing. And there's a lot of things that we've gotten away from, and our grandparents and great-grandparents aren't here to tell us and teach us. So those of us who remember have to share the knowledge and, just help each other to have a healthier life. So the health podcast will, the health podcast as well as the health playlist on my YouTube channel will talk about those things that are, going to help or remind us about healthy eating and just, overall health. And we're going to start with the next podcast being about the bariatric surgery. And then the episodes thereafter will deal with different health issues, just to shed some light and share some information, because there's not a lot of people who get this information. They go straight to the FDA or other sites, etc., online, and they kind of, it's confusing, because you get people who, let's just take the high road, and you get people who have different schools of thought or different opinions, and then they impose them opinions and blogs and vlogs and articles, and I guess I could be included in that, because I'm going to share the things that I find. I'll try to stay neutral, because journalism was my first degree, so I'll try to stay neutral, and I'll talk about both sides. Okay, this side says this and this side says that, but who's to say how it's going to come out, especially when I myself may believe something to be true, and I may put that oomph on it, to make it sound like, no, this is the thing to do. But it's a journey that seems like we're always learning from, and what we plan to do on myself and my team in the health podcast and on the health playlist on my YouTube channel is to bring the best health information that we can do. And again, starting with the bariatric episode and then exploring everything else. So, we welcome you to, join us and to follow us and share, and, let's just spread this information and try to be healthy. We should not be what they call or say is the most powerful country in the world, and then we have shorter survival rates. We have to stop being this oxymoron or, contradicting ourselves. And we have to just be humane to one another, and namely starting with being humane to ourselves. So let's get into it.